presentations will be uploaded to the web sometime later today or tomorrow at the latest. We have allocated half hour for questions and comments, but as you all know, that's never enough. So we also welcome if you like to add questions or comments in the chat, and we will try to address them as well. And we did receive a number of questions already in advance, and we will try to provide some responses during the question and comment session. And for information, I would just like to inform everyone that tomorrow there'll also be a side event on closing climate change data gaps organized by UNSC and the IMF, and that's on the new G20 Data Gaps Initiative. And it's focusing on selected data gaps that will also help to compile some of these SIA-based indicators in the global set. So if you have not registered, you're welcome to register for that. I just see Sushil has joined. Welcome, Sushil. So I think we should actually start. I will provide.
Hi, Rina.
Hi, Sushil. Thank you for joining. Okay, we'll test you when you actually are presenting, and I will allow maybe one question per after each presentation if it's really technical. But we'd prefer if you could save them to the end. But if you really need clarification, and depending on how we are moving with the agenda, we can entertain more. So we'll be flexible with that. Okay, so once again, I see more people have joined. Thank you so much for joining and taking time out of your schedules. This is a very important event leading to the adoption of the global set at the Statistical Commission next week. We've also received a numerous number of written statements, which we are currently reviewing, and we really appreciate everybody's interest in this. So without further ado, I think I'd like to start. For the UNSC presentation, I've asked all my colleagues, that's Emil Ivanov, Marcus Newbery, Xuan She, and Robin Carrington, to each present some of the slides, and I'll present the last few. So maybe, Emil, you could kindly start.
Thank you very much, Rina, and thank you very much, everybody, for being with us today. Can you just confirm that you see my screen and my slides?
Yes.
Thank you. So in this presentation, we are going to explain how the role of statistics is starting to take shape in the area of climate change on an international level. We'll start with some notes on the background and timeline, explain recent advances on technical level and also institutional, mainly based on the results of the global consultation last year, present the global set as brief as we can, and make some notes on the future work. Here, a few figures to remind us why are we doing this work. Shortly, GHG emissions keep growing, and so do the temperatures. Global warming is currently above about 1 degree Celsius. What you see here is not a projection, it's the actual measurement. We are all very familiar how the projections go. And this is, according to IPCC, going to take between another 1 and 6 degrees until about 210. Of course, the frequency of climate-related disasters is growing. This figure is for the US only. And so does sea level rise, currently about 20 centimeters in comparison to in the last century, and this is projected to grow between another ½ meter and 1 meter. The process has taken already some time, about 10 years. We have submitted 4 reports to the Statistical Commission. In 2016, the Commission gave us a mandate to develop a global set. In 2018, a message to strengthen the link between statistics and policy via joint work with UNFCCC. Last year, we presented a state-of-the-art report for information, and this year is the global set for adoption. So we sent a report accompanied by 2 background reports. We'll see more details next.
Emil, sorry. I think some of the colleagues cannot see your screen, although I can, and I think some of us can, and some of us cannot see your screen. Would you mind like maybe try unshare and share again? Thank you.
Okay, I'll do that. How about now?
I can see. I don't know if anybody else can see. Can Paul and Neil, can you see the slides?
Banumati
Okay.
said she can. O'Neill Wilson, yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, now, right?
Yeah. Sushil says he cannot see. I hope he can see it. Yeah. All right. Great. Okay.
Emil,
So,
go ahead.
This is now for Xuan to continue.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sure.
Oh yeah, this is start on my side. Sorry. So the little introduction on the process and the approach of the global set basically started as a bottom-up approach when we started to work in collaboration with UNFCCC and the expert group on selecting the indicators for the global set. We have reviewed extensively of the multiple national examples, and based on which we come up with 134 indicators spread out through 5 different IPCC policy areas, including the drivers, impacts, vulnerability, mitigation, and adaptation. And after that, we've conducted a multiple round of consultation, including a pilot survey, during the expert group meeting discussion, and finally the global consultation last year in 2021. Next, please. So the structure of the global consultation of the global set is including 2 parts. So a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 is different from when we send to the international institutions and countries. So it asks some institutional questions about the climate change capacity and goals, data, methodologic work, and other collaborations. And the second part is part 2, which is the same for all agencies and countries, and that include the actual indicators and the statistics. Next, please. So the next part, we were going to elaborate on the advances on institutional and technical aspect of the outcome of the global consultation. Next, please. As I mentioned before, we have done 3 rounds of reviews. The first round is in January 2020. About the initial review of this global set, which includes 6 countries. Then we did a pilot survey with 17 countries later in 2020. And finally, we sent the global set to all countries for a global consultation. And we received 86 responses. And these responses are also advancing even after the global consultation. For instance, we have identified from this map of the responses that the major gaps lie within Africa and Central West Asia area. So we engaged with consultant to work on improving the responses of these regions, and so far we got a very positive response based on these new advancements of the response. And next slide, I think I'll hand it over to my colleague, Marcus Newbury, please.
Thanks, Xuan. Hey, everybody. I'd like to speak a little bit about the institutional setup for climate change statistics and how the National Statistical Office is typically involved in this and in certain processes for climate change statistics. So per the research undertaken and the responses received, it was clear that almost all countries have policies on climate change, all responding countries have policies on climate change, and institutions with legal mandates to produce climate change statistics. The majority of countries have climate change included in national statistical strategies, especially within Europe, while fewer countries have specific strategies addressing climate change statistics per se. Next slide, please. As for a focus on the National Statistical Office's involvement, a majority of countries reported that, especially in Europe and Asia, such an involvement would include processes related to GHG inventories, and 3 countries via their National Statistical Office, which were Turkey, Finland, and Mauritius, informed that their NSO is the main institution for reporting on greenhouse gas inventories. And many are currently and will be in future involved in working with UNFCCC for such reports. Next slide, please. Most countries reported ongoing collaboration between the National Statistical Office and whichever reporting authority was in the country responsible for liaising with the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. There was also mention made of the existence of national committees or working groups for broader engagement in these processes. And this was more pronounced in Asia and Europe, as you can see from the data on screen for the answers to question E2 with the bar charts broken down by region. Further, some countries mention per options we gave them to question E5 that the types of barriers that they encountered in compiling climate change statistics and when they collaborate and so on. And next slide, please. So this was all of these observations are made based on the research undertaken per part 1 of the global consultation. So our observation was that via part 1, we could see that almost all countries have policies on climate change statistics, while most have national strategies for the development of statistics and units working on climate change statistics within national statistical offices. Less so are there specific strategies on climate change statistics. The findings also showed that data collection tools to produce statistics on climate change and to inform climate change policy are often absent or could be informal or ad hoc. More or less sort of independent of the research undertaken, it's certainly like a hypothesis of ours that there could be a sort of a likelihood of a response or a non-response bias influencing these results. Our feeling is that it's much more likely that those countries with resources already devoted to climate change statistics could respond to this consultation. So 68 countries offered a response. There were many who did not. So the idea moving forward is that UNSD will advocate for attention on climate change statistics within NSOs and continue outreach to all UN member states on this issue. That's all I'd like to say, and I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Robin Carrington, please.
Thank you, Marcus. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We've just learned about the NSO's involvement reported by the majority of the countries, which includes processes related to GHG inventories, both current and future reporting to UNFCCC, and the ongoing collaboration between the NSOs and UNFCCC reporting authorities. I'll speak briefly on the advances of statistical methods, tools, and products addressing climate change at the national as well as the international level. On this slide, you've noticed that the 3 questions asked were concerning the NSO development in specialized climate change surveys or modules, whether the NSO has produced disseminated or climate change statistics in a hard copy, electronically or online, and whether any other institution in the country has done the same. Well, 12 countries referenced that their NSO has developed a specialized climate change statistics survey or added a climate change module within an existing census or survey, while most countries do not have such tools at present. Nevertheless, the majority do produce climate-related statistics in various forms. Next slide, please. At the international level, these questions were also asked, but the agencies were asked whether they developed methodological guidelines for climate change statistics, whether they produce or maintain a list of indicator statistics or statistics that pertain to climate change or some related topics, or if the agency has either convened an interagency technical or expert working group to engage in climate change statistics and indicators. We found that at international level, as reported by the 20 agencies who provided responses, 14 produced methodological guidelines, 16 listed that they noted that they had lists of indicators, and 9 organized interagency working groups. Next slide, please. So in concluding remarks from UNSD on the advances of statistical methods, tools, and products addressing climate change, as I said before, 12 countries referenced that their NSO has developed a specialized climate change survey or added a climate change module within an existing census or survey. And there is also a strong interest and engagement by countries to collect data related to climate change. So the multiple activities taking place at the international level point to the need for better coordination to improve efficiency and avoid duplication of efforts. And that's all I have to say about the concluding remarks. I'll put you on next to hear from my colleague Emil, who will further inform you on the global set of climate change statistics and indicators, referring mainly to the global set and its metadata.
Thank you very much, colleagues. The next section I will explain, I'll present the global set itself. I've got quite some details on those slides, but I'll try to go faster. The full detail, however, you can examine from our second background report following the link here. So as there wasn't a framework connecting the reporting requirements according to the Paris Agreement with the needed statistics for that, we developed one jointly with UNFCCC. It's designed to work both ways, to inform statisticians, understanding better what the reporting requirements for national and international policies are, and also to inform the policy makers and the people working on reporting what the statistical tools and means exist to do that. So the structure basically follows the structure of the FDES. It's also similar to that of the SDGs and the same Sendai framework, and it's broadly nested within the five IPCC areas of drivers, impacts, mitigation, adaptation, and vulnerability. So the global set currently contains 158 indicators accompanied by 190 statistics, and they serve few main purposes. That's to provide less complex options for compiling the needed data for the indicators. For many of the indicators at tier 1 and 2, this is what will be needed to compile them. For many of the indicators at tier 3, the statistics actually provide some of the needed inputs for further methodological development. There are cases where we did not introduce statistics, and that is because, for example, 9 cases we have where the statistic and the indicator are actually identical. That means that statistics work as indicators in those cases. In some other cases, 21, it was not necessary to include the statistics separately, since the user will have to refer to the original sources. That's the case with several of the SDGs and Sendai framework indicators included. As I mentioned, all this is nested within the 5 IPCC areas and further within 34 topics. Next, the reporting requirements according to the Paris Agreement and the modalities for this reporting according to the work program adopted in Katowice are depicted in an explicit manner by listing the relevant articles according to Paris and the relevant decisions according to Katowice. And next, the applicable statistical methods are listed in an explicit way, so that one can establish the full picture. Most of the indicators and statistics in the global set follow the FDES. Currently, that's 120, both indicators and statistics. The next number belongs to the SDGs, 43 indicators and 8 statistics, and the next is SIA-based indicators and statistics. in total 46. Next is indicators following the European core set from EC, 35 of them. Next is according to the recommendations for energy statistics, 2024. Next, Sendai 12, and finally IPCC 10. The tiering system follows as in the SDGs and the FDS. It's based on relevance, methodological soundness, and data availability. The tiers were revised following the global consultation according to the following main rule. If more than 50% of the countries who responded to the consultation said that they do have data, then the tier was defined as tier 1. If less than 50%, then it's tier 2. For tier 3, those are the indicators and statistics for which we lack currently methodological guidance adopted at an international level. This rule of 50%, however, was not applied for the SDGs that are included in the global set, since the SDGs have their own far more robust way of assessing data availability. This is how the whole system works, with indicators and statistics side by side, accompanied by the explicit links to Paris articles and decisions, and a short note on the applicable statistical methods. We have of course all the full detail of that, which we are still to disseminate on our website, for example, by including all the very explicit correspondences with FDS, SDGs, and the framework and DC indicators. This is coming. The next few slides demonstrate what have we included in the metadata. Again, you can see the explicit links with codes, articles, decisions. Now, definitions we have included for all the indicators and statistics. For tier 1 and 2, those are primarily from international statistical sources. For tier 3, it could be other sort of reading. Often that's from the IPCC assessments, would be from academic sources, reports, etc. The relevance is also explained for all indicators, and it is mostly sourced from the IPCC assessments. The 4th, the 5th, the 6th is forthcoming. And then some other metadata details are included, such as possible national data sources, data collection methods, periodicity, category of measurements. Compilation notes are included for many, but not for all the indicators at this stage. We have also tried to provide references to the data collection processes at international level that was needed, so as to prove that the included indicators do have the possibility to be applied nationally. And we have denoted that, again, following the SDG way. We see this is country data. It could be also estimates or model data. Finally, we have also included the methodological guidance, again, for tier 1 and 2. Those are internationally applicable ones. For tier 3, it could be just further reading to better inform the users what the suggested indicators are. We have also tried to assess wherever the match is precise with the original source. You will see it straight away according to those codes introduced above. In some cases, the match is not one-to-one, but what is included in the global set is similar to the original sources. That's often the case with the SDGs and other sources. So this is indicated in square brackets with the word similar to. And sometimes we have only used certain elements of the original sources, like definitions or other metadata details. Those cases are reflected with the word related to in the metadata. So the global set was thoroughly revised following the global consultation last year. also the 8th meeting of our expert group last year, and several bilateral consultations with specialized agencies. And the key changes are 22 new indicators were added. There were 134 before. 19 were modified, 1 deleted. 39 statistics were added, and that's mainly in those cases that I mentioned. We had tier 3 indicators without anything to back them up as statistics. Now we made a major effort to solve that. 27 statistics were modified, 33 were deleted. Among those are mainly where before we had introduced variables like population, GDP, and those we decided to exclude from the list since they are very well known anyway. So of course we needed to develop metadata from scratch for all those new indicators. A lot of improvements we did for the definitions. As I mentioned, everything before at tier 3 had none. Now we have included something. Same for the methodological guidance. Explanation of the connections to climate change, which is something that we will still have to work on in the future. And as I mentioned, the tiers were all revised according to the outcomes of the global consultation. Those changes we have tried to explain in the second background report in an annex at the very end, following all the metadata. There you can see a column in which we explain what the changes are. Again, we are planning to provide further information on that, which should be on our website soon. Just one concluding remark, I would like to emphasize that the global set is designed to support countries to prepare their own sets, meaning that probably the tier 1 indicators, currently there are 19 in the list, will be applied as they are. They are sufficiently defined. The tier 2, which is the majority of the indicators, will require certain adjustment nationally. And of course, the tier 3 will require very thorough methodological work. So I'll stop here, and the next part of this presentation about future steps will be presented by Rina.
Thank you very much, Emil. I'm sorry if you hear some background noise. They're doing some street work, so it's a little bit loud. I can't do anything about it. I'll try to speak louder. Okay, so this last slide, so just I think 4 more left. This comes from section 5 of the report of the Secretary General, as Emil has put on the screen. This is the section called Putting the Global Set to Work. And just to inform you that UNSD and UNFCCC, in preparing this report, have defined 3 main priorities of further work. The first one is to encourage the implementation of the global set in countries, to further develop the methodology and contribute towards enhanced complementarity between global, regional, and national initiatives. So what Emil was saying, for example, with the EC set, to continue to work together and further harmonize over time. And thirdly, to enhance the coordination of capacity development and resource mobilization. Next slide, please. So these priorities require UNSD, in collaboration with UNFCCC and of course with all other relevant bodies, which we know are growing, and based on availability of resources, to undertake these joint initiatives, which I will quickly show you on the next 3 slides. So the first one is the capacity development activities, and the key activities will be to provide continuous online support, organize regional workshops, of course, in collaboration with our regional partners, and also possibly, again, due to the virtual nature, or if the pandemic, passes us, we will be back to physical meetings. So to work with countries, basically, in any way we possibly can. Next slide, please. We'll also be looking at further development of the methodology, so primarily looking at the tier 3 indicators and working on those, but I have to stress also on some of the others. I mean, this work is dynamic, and as we've seen also when we worked closely with the ECE set, there are some indicators there that are still tier 3, there are some placeholders, There's some where they have to review again because of the CDB, Convention on Biological Diversity framework indicators, which hopefully will get adopted this year. So one has to continuously review, but you cannot change all the time. So I think what we also plan to do is to make a continuous review, maybe every year at the expert group, we can assess and see where we're at, and then maybe in 3 to 5 years, we can make a full review. And I think we are planning to work closely with EC in this regard, because they also have their set, but they also, I think, need to be looking at it continuously. So we're very pleased to do that. And also, we have been looking at the nexus between gender and climate change, and we're very pleased with the inputs we got from UN Women on this. And I think at the Statistical Commission, there's also going to be a report on gender, and I think they're using climate change as one example of where they are looking at this nexus from the gender perspective, because they have been tasked to start looking at with different topics in mind. Next slide, please. With regard to training materials, etc., we want to develop a strategy with our key partners. We've seen many agencies already working on this thanks to the global consultation. We discovered so many institutions working, and we have a wealth of information which we plan to use and mobilize. We have already drafted some implementation guidelines, and we plan to continue to work on this year and present it at our next expert group meeting, the 9th meeting later in the year. We also would like to develop a similar tool to the ESAT, if those of you know it, the Environment Statistics Self-Assessment Tool, and make one on climate change that countries can then use by themselves. So what we sent out in the global consultation can be used, but we would like to add other fields, etc., and make it self-contained so countries can assess when they wish, as they do with the ESAT itself. Next slide, please. And finally, about the role of NSOs, I mean, we know that it is key to encourage and help NSOs to use the global set to link policy with statistics. And I think this, what we found from the global consultation and written statements so far, countries have really appreciated this possibility to try to also work closer, between the NSO and the National Reporting Authority to UNFCCC. So I think all these movements have been very, very positive, and hopefully this will also continue. We also, think it's important to strengthen environment statistics as a basis for developing climate change. And in fact, we have seen in written statements, some countries are emphasizing this as well. And this was actually mandated in the 2016 Statistical Commission decisions. And finally, to also develop data collection tools such as surveys, as I think Robin mentioned already, we're seeing this as a growing field, of censuses and surveys, and to actually publish reports like climate change statistics reports specifically on this topic, or disseminate by other means. I think that's the last slide, Emil. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Oh, we have perfect timing actually. So we're trying to stick to our schedule. So if anyone has a really quick question, maybe we can take it. Otherwise we save it to the discussion time. Please raise your hand if you have something really fast. And Marcus Eshwan, you're checking the chat, right? I think nobody at this time, right? I'm not missing anyone. Okay. All right, then maybe we move to the next presentation. That will be our colleague Vlad Truska, who is the team leader, Transparency Division at UNFCCC, who will make the next presentation looking at primarily the updates from the COP26 in Glasgow. Over to you, Vlad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Veena, and welcome everyone. I hope you can see my presentation.
We see it. Just make it in slide.
Yeah, this is what's
Okay.
trying to manage two screens. So this is why if I'm looking a bit to the side, don't worry, I'm still with you. So again, thank you so much for inviting me to speak. And this shows again our cooperation in the last how many 5-6 years already now, and the work that we have tried to do together to bring, as requested in a way by the Statistical Commission, but also as we have seen it needed from our side, bringing together the statistical world and the climate change policy world. So I will try to focus today on the latest developments. I don't know if, because we are this in some time, and I think now many people from the statistical world know me, or I see a lot of familiar faces in the list of participants. This is why I didn't go again presenting of who we are and what we do. Just to say that I'm coming from the UNFCCC Secretariat, and I am the team lead for the systems and tools on transparency. So all the issues related to reporting of data to the Climate Change Secretariat are coming to our transparency division, where we deal with all this emission and policy and adaptation, mitigation data, and so on. Just trying not to lose too much time, I wanted to start first by showing a little bit of the Paris Agreement, the whole architecture, where how the different components stick with each other. Again, we are looking at the great objectives on the long-term temperature, the climate resilience, the financial flows, and again to the actions and means of implementation, but at the same time on the accountability. And in terms of accountability, you see there on in one of the corners the transparency of action and support. And this is what we think it's one of the things that are more connected with the statistical world. Now, also looking at the idea of enhancing ambition of countries and the way the objective of the Paris Agreement interacts with the plan and the implementation and the review process. You see it's quite schematic on this slide. And again, you see the role of the enhanced transparency framework in terms of the review, together with the idea of the compliance of the Paris Agreement and the global stocktake. Now, even more further down, this parodying this process, we look at the way the architecture under the Paris Agreement and the linking of the enhanced transparency framework with the nationally determined contributions and also the global stocktake are put together. So you see from the first idea of countries communicating their NDCs to the last step, which is the global stocktake. You see in between you have the relevant part of the submission of information from all the countries and the review of this information, the periodical review of this information and the multilateral consideration. Now, going even deeper into the process, we look at the architecture of the enhanced transparency framework. And here we see, as mentioned before, these three layers, these three steps. We start with the reporting part, where the countries are going to start submitting their biennial transparency report from 2024. That will include their greenhouse gas inventories, their progress in the implementation of the NDC, the support that are provided and mobilized from the developed countries, and also the support needed and received by the developing countries, but also very important, their adaptation information. Moving to the second part, we see the review, where there will be technical expert review process where there's a consistency of information, the support that is provided, the progress in the NDCs, finalizing with the last step, which is the consideration of the entire process, where countries are able to ask questions between themselves and to do this either online or in a face-to-face format. Now, a little bit on the benefits of transparency, and this is part of the ongoing discussion of the idea of providing information. We look at the national level to make sure that the policy planning is informed with the information on climate change, that there is a capacity building, there is an access to support, which is extremely important for developing countries that need support in their climate action at home. This needs to be backed up by information, by reports that will be provided. So definitely these are the main benefits of transparency at the national level. But we're also looking at internationally in terms of the trust built between the countries, the idea to show that the obligations are met, and also to show the enhancement of the ambition over a longer period, and also the idea of prioritizing support. Now, in terms of the fundamentals, this is not something new, and this is why it is important to make it very clear. We are not starting anything from scratch. This is building on the existing mandates. There are currently parties that are submitting information, some of them annually, like the developed countries, in terms of their emissions under the convention, under the Kyoto Protocol. So this will continue. There are other countries that have increased their reporting in the last years. So again, this transparency framework is built on the existing situation. Of course, there is a need for the continuous improvement and the idea that there are different starting points for different countries. But definitely, this is the time to put in place this UN motto of not leaving anyone behind. And this is why flexibility is needed, but most of all, support is needed. Looking again on how this transparency has been built over time, again, I try to show here the progress, the timeline in the climate change multilateral environment agreements from the climate convention in '92 until the last conference of the parties in Glasgow. And on the bottom side of the slide, you see how the transparency progressed over the years with the reviews of communications, the reviews of inventories that were launched more than 20 years ago. So there is already, again, experience. There is a process that the parties have been through, not only developed countries, but also developing countries. So the process continues. It's a new framework, but in principle, the reporting will not stop and will not start something new. Now, just what I wanted to make it again clear, because there are a lot of discussions, and Emil also raised it in his presentation. What is the difference between Paris, Katowice, Glasgow? What happened in there? So we talk about three different conferences of the parties. We talk about Paris, that was COP21. Everybody was talking about this at the time, 2015. This is when the Paris Agreement was adopted, and this is when the Article 13 of this Paris Agreement put the scope, the definition of the enhanced transparency framework. But for you to understand, this is an article in a Paris Agreement. Of course, it needed more, and this is the form of the modalities, procedures, and guidelines. to be able to implement this article of the Paris Agreement. This happened 2 years later in the Conference of the Parties number 24 that happened in Katowice in Poland. And this is where, again, the framework received, or let's say the bones received the flesh, to be able for parties to know what to report. So these modalities and procedures and guidelines for the enhanced transparency framework, they consist of exactly this, the whole idea of what is to report. Then in Glasgow, in November last year, this process was coming to an end, because on top of the article from the Paris Agreement, the modalities and procedures from Katowice, there was a last thing that was needed, which was the guidance how to operationalize these modalities and procedures. And this basically means how to report, how to make sure that what was agreed to report, there is a simple way for parties to report. And this was coming again in Glasgow with 5 main issues under the transparency framework. The first 3 are the common reporting tables or common tabular formats for inventories, so for greenhouse gas emission inventories, for tracking progress of the implementation of NDC, and also for the support provided in terms of financial support, technology capacity building support provided. On top of this, there was the outlines of the biennial transparency report and the national inventory document, and also the framework for the training of experts that are used in they are participating in expert review teams. Again, these reviews that I was talking about, these are independent reviews that are organized by the Secretariat, but the whole substance process is conducted by experts that are nominated by countries. So this is a very independent process. So this common reporting tables or tabular formats, the next step is to make sure that these tabular formats and reporting tables are provided in a simple way for parties, in an electronic format for parties to be able to report. So this will be reporting tools. Just for you to have an idea of what is behind, these are the tables that were agreed. These are the tables. These are a small section of the tables that were agreed for emission inventories. You see here 2 out of 50 tables, some of them with multiple sheets. And you see for each of these tables, you see information either at the sectoral report for like industrial processes, this is one of the sectors, or you see the even more detailed tables with the sectoral background data for agriculture. The same is for energy, for land use change and forestry, again for industrial processes and waste. So this is just the common reporting tables for reporting inventories. And here, this is the common tabular format for tracking progress in implementing the national determined contributions. You see here 2 of the structured summary tables. One of them is, again, looking at tracking progress made in implementing and achieving the NDC. The first one is also showing the description of selected indicator. It is important for our discussion that these are the processes that the parties, the countries decide for themselves based on their nationally determined contributions that were submitted under the Paris Agreement. So these indicators, these will be selected by countries, and I'm coming back to the whole idea of these indicators in the next slide. Now, looking at this idea of tracking progress, so I try to focus this time the presentation on not on the greenhouse gas emission inventories, but more on the tracking progress in implementing and achieving the national determined contributions by parties. The process is quite simple. It's coming from the Paris Agreement. The parties are supposed to communicate regularly their nationally determined contributions. And this is, as their name is describing them, these are self-determined. So there's no target, there's no imposed something on the parties. They decide by themselves how they want to contribute to this process. But the parties, they need to provide this information to facilitate clarity, transparency, and understanding in describing their NDC. So then the second part is the actual implementation of their NDCs. We know that this has already started in many countries. At the same time, the countries are developing their policies, their collection of the data, tracking their progress, and so on. The last part of the process is to report on how the countries are tracking their progress in their biennial reports, which are these biennial transparency reports. And they have to report the information as appropriate on their NDC. And also, this is subject to review and multilateral consideration, as I've shown you before. Now, part of this process is to identify indicators. This is, again, embedded in the decisions from Katowice. And this is something that again, follows a process of identifying the indicators, providing information on the reference points or reference levels of baselines, base year starting points. And then the next step is to provide the most recent information. So you were referencing your NDC based on your, for example, emission levels that were in the year 2000 or 2005, but then you have also to look at your emissions in 2020 or 2015. And then you compare the two sets of data and see the progress in terms of tracking your progress in terms of these indicators. There are different NDCs with different kind of indicators. It's not only emission targets, there are intensity targets or different policies that were put together by countries. Now, looking at some examples of indicators, I have already given you some, like, for example, the net greenhouse gas emissions, the percentage of reduction of greenhouse gas intensity of the whole economy or the sector, or different relevant qualitative indicators for specific policy or measure, or something related with the co-benefits of adaptation actions or economic diversification plans. But these are part of the indicators related with emissions and removals, but there are others like reforestation, renewable energy, neutrality, and indicators that are not related with the greenhouse gas emissions. So you see there is a wide range of indicators that the countries might choose. And again, using the global set of indicators might be useful for these countries to choose something that is already established methodological guidance for these indicators and so on. Now, I will need to conclude because my time is running out, and I just wanted to conclude on our cooperation with UNSD. You see that the reports, especially the last one that was put forward for the Commission now in, let's say, 10 days from now, was a joint report by UNFC and UNSD. We have this long-term mandate from the 49th session of the Commission to make sure that we strengthen this link between climate change policy and statistics. And together with UNSD, we are trying as much as possible to have joint meetings to have people from both sides participating in our events. There were several regional events or dialogues, or lately with webinars and virtual meetings where participants were coming from both sides of the climate and statistics from at the domestic level, which is extremely important. And of course, concluding with the most relevant work that we are here today, the work that we have done on the global set of climate change statistics and indicators. Ready for questions, discussion at the end, or any clarification question. Again, thank you, Rina, and the colleagues in your team for the cooperation and for the invitation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vlad. I was tempted to slow you, to say, please, hurry up, but it was so important, and I think some people also are new to our event, so I think it's good that they listen. So we will try to catch up with the time. I mean, if there's just, I think, I know Matti had a question, like very quick questions, please, maybe.
I can respond online if it's needed. I can write on the chat because of the time.
Okay, yeah, there's one, just to read it out. There's what's the difference between the tables of NDC report with the ones recommended by SIA? For example, GHG inventory has been recommended in SIA air emission accounts. If you want
I can explain quickly.
Yeah, okay.
There is no there is no match between these things. Like what is needed, the tables of the NDC report or the emissions, these are based on the IPCC methodology, and we are looking at the greenhouse gas inventory in terms of the territory principle, which is very different from what the SEA is doing. So the request for countries to report under the UNFCCC is based on the IPCC guidance, and this is part of the process under the climate convention. In terms of the NDC report, again, these are reports that were prepared by countries. They were able and responsible to choose the indicators that they want to use in terms of showing their contribution to the fight against climate change. So again, parties can choose their indicators based on their national circumstances. There is another question, if there are any plans to standardize reporting on expenditure and investment made on climate change adaptation and mitigation. This is correct. I didn't have time to show you also the tables. Sorry, there are 3 sets of tables. So this is why there are 3 sets of, there will be 3 tools for reporting information. There's one tool on reporting emissions. There's another tool where I showed you the tables for reporting the progress in terms of the NDC progress in implementing the NDC. And there is another tool, which is another set of tables that were also agreed in Glasgow to report from parties that are providing financial support or capacity building support or technology support, and also from the developing countries of receiving this support and the needs that they have in terms of this support. So this is another set of tables.
Vlad, thank you. For the next question, maybe you can answer in chat, because it's Virginia Murray asking about climate change related health indicators. And maybe Emil, you could also comment on that, maybe in the global set where these type of indicators are included. Okay, so thank you, Vlad. Sorry, we're just a bit behind now with time. Yeah, but thank you. So now we'd like to move to the country experiences. We try to cover as much as possible presentations from different parts of the world. So we've tried our best to be, universal. So I'd first like to invite Neil Wilson. He's a team lead for environmental statistics, the Office of National Statistics from the United Kingdom. Vlad, please stop sharing your screen. And Neil, welcome. And please, could you try to share your screen?
Hi there, thank you. I shall twiddle it out for a second. Right, hopefully that's...
Yes.
I think it should head into presentation mode in a second.
Yes, perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Excellent. All right, lovely. Thank you. So thank you for the introduction. Just to say, yeah, so I'm Neil Wilson. I'm the lead within our relatively recently formed environment division within the ONS in the UK. I'm just going to talk through a little bit of our recent work with climate change indicators and sort of our experience of that and how that's touched up against the sort of global consultation on the global set. So I'll just run through a little bit of the sort of context and the scene setting of that. So we are, as I said, the ONS, and we are an independent national statistical institute. So we sit in that sort of structure of UK governance where we are separated from the other more policy focused departments, and we have that status as an independent body, which obviously comes with a set of benefits in terms of the trust and the value that people place on our statistics. So as a department, we've been a relatively small role in the UK's environment statistics in sort of all their raw form, but we have sort of started to grow that outwards and to build our sort of role and our reputation in that space. So some of our recent outputs sort of arranged around sort of the surveys that we run on the low carbon and renewable energy economy. We produce our environmental accounts. A lot of it is to do with that sort of link of the economy and the environment, and sort of bridging the gap between those. We started to move more into working on net zero, and then obviously we have a lot of work we've done on natural capital and the value of nature in the UK. So it's very much a convening role because we are, as I said, sort of a relatively small part of that wider system in the UK, where much of the production or the data that comes around environment and climate change statistics is spread across all those other departments and bodies, either collected by them or collected, analysed and distributed by them. It's the approach varies, and there is not exactly a massive consistency in that. So that's part of our challenge. It's a very complex system we've ended up with for ourselves here, and how we bring that together and get that out in some form that kind of is the most effective and efficient way of doing that to produce something that actually, you know, allows us to monitor and evaluate what we need is a bit of a challenge. So we have taken, you know, that convening role increasingly to try and deliver what's required. And one of the key things in doing that was our cross-government piece, which created the Climate Change Statistics Portal, which we launched just ahead of COP26 last year, and we also demonstrated at that event. So I'll just ping on a little bit. So a little bit more on that. That's been a significant plank of our work. And I suppose in saying this, I should give credit to, I'm largely building off a presentation that was by Helen Fox, who was working on this last year and put some of this together, and also the consultation response element with Hazel Trend, both within our teams. Just getting the credit right there before I sort of claim all the glory here. So yes, so this was, as I say, it was very much a cross-government piece, and it's, you know, it's the core things that we are trying to achieve here with the ONS. It's about coherence, accessibility, and comparability of statistics in this case, particularly the climate change related element. And these are the sort of things that we try and bring across, you know, all the statistics in the UK. So it's, you know, that quality of access, that building understanding, and that can be for a range of users. You know, we're trying to address here that from the policy sort of end through to that more general sort of wider public use as well, so that it's a source that we're creating a narrative that can be understood by that wide range of people, but is available in that one central place. So that was our goal with this. It's to convene, it's to bring it together and create that sort of more definitive place to go for it. So we've had three strands that we worked on throughout that. One was on the statistics, and that was building the framework that really is the core to this work. That's where we start overlapping with a lot of what we've been talking about so far at this event. The second was the technical side, which is building a sort of data portal, and then the more visual and accessible elements on top of that. And then the third strand is building analysis off the back of that. You know, the point of bringing some of this together for us, as well as having metrics and statistics that can address what people are seeking, is to say, well, how can we bring this together and actually create some new analysis that builds our understanding of what's going on here in a way that hasn't been so easily done when it was all sort of rather more diffused. So start with the UK framework. We've created something that is a bit of a hybrid. I'll bring the rest of the slide up. Yeah. So, that was an early piece of work in this project, was to review all those existing frameworks in a way that, similar to the global sets, kind of brought that together. So we've got good overlap there with the kind of areas that we've drawn on. International frameworks, as well as the more domestic focused ones. So we've got our own 25-year plan. We've got the net zero strategy that's been formed within the last year or so, published by Bayes, distilling that down and then creating our sort of method framework from that whole. So that created a framework with around 250 or so indicators in it, broken down into 6 pillars, which I've got illustrated there. So we've got our climate and weather, emissions, drivers, impacts, mitigation, and adaptation, which are fairly self-explanatory. But we sort of then got the 4 cross-cutting themes beneath that, and all that is to build together to create this structure that will sit within what we're trying to build on our portal. So obviously recognizing that's a bit of a evolving, moving feast, but that's where we've got to as a starting point to say, well, what do we build up from here? So from that, we have created our climate change portal, which is a sort of prototype version of what we intend to go further with. So just a simple visual of it here. In its basic form, what we've got is an overview which takes those 6 pillars, gives a selected metric for each of them, something that's fairly high profile and relevant. And then what we allow then is for people to drill down into these, into the 6 pillars, and see further metrics and information that underpin those. So that's, the version that's, as I say, trying to cover, wide base in terms of the internal government use, external specialists, but also trying to be something that's accessible to that broader citizen user base. And that was what we launched ahead of COP. So it's a bit of a plug here, isn't it? So I've got the climate change web address there. And assume these presentations will be shared, or I can share that link at another point. But that's our initial point, and then we will continue to build on that. So at the moment we have around 60, 70 metrics within there out of that 250, and we're just looking to continue to integrate further data sets within that, and then build up the range of metrics that are in there. So I'm just thinking on here a little bit. Underpinning that, there is the data sets that make it up. So the idea being that for those users who are a bit more specialists, they'll be able to go into this portal, see what they want from that, and then work down to the lowest level to actually access the data in an open format, sort of to download and conduct their own analysis on. So this is giving that end-to-end use and providing that extra value so that they can start conducting further analysis that goes beyond what we've already done. So the last element from that published dashboard is those narrative pieces. So we did 3 articles, and just 2 examples of them here. So one was around the different measures that we have in the UK for greenhouse gas emissions, helping people understand basically why we have those different official measures in place, and then another sort of about understanding some of the changes in our climate that we're experiencing in the UK, for sort of, well, not just recent, but a fairly long period in some cases, where we have data going back a long way on that. So that's what we've produced recently. As I say, we're sort of moving into the phase 2 of continuing to build the content on there. So there'll be functional improvements, visual improvements, as well as kind of that content improvement. That framework that we've built for that was kind of our starting point for assessing where we were against the global set consultation. So, it really was quite a nice bit of timing for us to be able to sort of review and respond to that against the work that we'd be doing on our framework. So we, in that kind of central role, kind of acted as that convening organisation again, to work across the different bodies that are involved in this in the UK and sort of within the devolved administration structure, to see how we sat against the emerging set of indicators. So what we've got is some similarity in terms of that pillar structure against the kind of structure that's emerging for the set, and then good, quite a strong alignment with the range of statistics that are emerging within that list. So we've got 40% where it's a complete alignment, 30% where we're pretty similar in the where we're defining that, or we do have data already in the UK where we can repurpose that to address what's required. And then obviously the remainder there, some simple sums there. So another 30% left where we don't currently include those. But I think accepting that in some cases those are less relevant for the UK, so it might not be ones we address. I think the example we had flooding around was glaciers, where we were a bit short on those in the UK, apart from mints. Going forward, that framework and bringing that together has been a useful tool in helping to sort of address the challenge we've got. And I think it mentioned some of those survey responses about how it is kind of working across NSOs and policy departments and kind of defining those roles and that challenge and bringing it together. I mean, that's definitely part of our experience of this, and it's something that this work has helped us to address. And getting that role for us as being that central part to sort of deliver the statistics in this area, which we have to continue to kind of keep pushing on and demonstrate the value of us as an organisation and being the ones to do that. So that sometimes meets with an easier, more favourable response than others, and sometimes requires a little bit more of that kind of that relationship building to make it work. Obviously, we've got that continual evolution of the framework and the understanding of what needs to be in there. That is very much an ongoing discussion, and will probably never stop. And then we've got other demands coming on this, so as well as seeing other frameworks emerge and how we might need to address those internally in the UK and with our partners. Where we get a lot of our demand is particularly people looking for that detail that sits beneath it. So as well as looking up to that sort of wider world set, it's kind of we're having to look down as well and think, how do we break this down and really address the detail at that very local level where people are interested in policies that kind of address much more sort of smaller geographies. And then moving into other areas, so we're getting a lot of work on green jobs and finance starting to sort of pick up, and again crossing back to how does that relate to the other metrics, and how does some of that response to climate change help or be supported by those elements. So a lot of crossing over there. So I think that's it's a quick flick through. I think we're going to leave questions to the end of these bits, and I realize I've probably gone a bit over my 7 minutes compounding your problems with this, but yes, thank you very much for your time and your attention this afternoon.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you so much for this excellent presentation. We've seen all the developments, from the UK when Helen presented at our expert group last year, and then also, of course, at COP26. We watched that as well, where Ian Diamond and Helen were presenting. So it's really nice, and thank you for also relating to the global set and to see how the relationship, between your frameworks has developed. So I don't know if there's any quick question. I know we've been taking some questions, so obviously the question session is going to be a little bit shorter, but is there did somebody ask in the chat? We will be uploading all the presentations, so let me just assure everybody that will be hopefully done later today or tomorrow at the latest. So if there's no immediate questions, or you could put them in the chat, maybe we could move to Suriname. I don't see any questions. Yeah, okay, Neil. So for now, nothing, but maybe in the session later. So sorry, we really wanted to give a diversity of countries, to present. So Anjali, please. Anjali Kiswin Singh is from the Scientific Research and Planning Division of the General Bureau of Statistics from Suriname. Anjali, welcome. Please.
Thank you, Rina. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so let me put it on presenter mode. So good morning, everybody. So my name is Anjali, and I work at the General Bureau of Statistics, and I'm responsible for the environment statistics and the SDGs. I'm going to talk a little bit about the global set, the link between the global set and the publication, climate change policy, the advantages and the challenges that we experience, and the way forward. Since 2020, the GBS contributed to the global set, participated in the 2021 global consultation, and actively participated in meetings from the expert group on environment statistics. For the past 2 years, GBS also participated in various climate change and disasters meetings, both statistics and policy meetings. The climate change statistics that are available in our 9th environment statistics publication and the support provided by the UNSC staff really helped with completing the global consultation. And also, I should also mention that in July 2021, the GBS in collaboration with ICLAC, we had a workshop on generating climate change and disasters indicators for policy decision making in Suriname. And this 3-day workshop, sorry?
Anjali, your slides are not moving. Is it only on my side?
Oh, I don't know.
Chuan, our colleague, can you see the slides?
I'm on the second slide now.
No,
I
it's
just
on the first.
on the
We're
first.
still seeing the first, yeah.
Okay, what if I just, do you see it now?
No.
No,
I can offer to share, Anjali, if you prefer.
Yeah, please share, please. I'm sorry. Please share and then.
Anjali, sorry to interrupt.
Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Oh,
No
now
worries.
we see
oh,
it.
now we see.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not in the presenter mode, so I'm gonna try to do it like this. I hope it's visual for everybody. Okay, so like I mentioned before, we participated in the global consultation. We've been in many meetings, and the environment statistics publication also contained a lot of climate change statistics. And there was a workshop with ICLAC that really helped with introducing the set to other stakeholders and also for completing the relevant part of the global consultation. This is like a snapshot of the link between the environment publication that GBS has, the FBS and the global set, and highlighted here in yellow. You can see that about circa 46.3% of climate change statistics data was available. Looking at the climate change, looking at the climate change policy in Suriname, GBS is contributing to the VNR that we will have to present this year, and SDG 13 on climate change was also one of the selected goals. We provide a lot of data for the VNR, also for the SDG, and for several estimations being reported to the UNFCCC. As you can see here on the left, Suriname did contribute a few reports. For instance, we have the SNC, we have the NDC in 2015, we had a second one in 2019. We also have the NAP, and in 2022, this year, Suriname will have to report their third national communication. And also in 2020, Suriname also adopted their Environmental Act. So policy-wise, a lot is being done. We are reporting, but now we have to go to the phase from reporting to actually implementing these acts into our policy. What are the advantages? Since 2020, because of the demand of climate change statistics and the link with climate change policy, for the environment publication reporting, climate change report, etc., we elevated the already good collaboration between the environment and climate change stakeholders, especially the Ministry of Spatial Planning and Environment. There was always a good collaboration, but now there is even more collaboration, especially with the ministry. A good example is also that in 2022, the UNDP will continue to support GBS through funding. This funding is used for hosting a workshop. We have most of the time in August, we have a big workshop where we invite all the stakeholders, and then we discuss the zero draft, and then there's a launch in December. And this system seems to be working for Suriname. And the GBS also provided some hardware and some software. For instance, they're paying for our Zoom license, and last year they bought a new PC. It helps with the data collection process, but most importantly, it helps with the collaboration between the GBS and the stakeholders. Suriname is also a member of the EGS. We're also a member of the CARICOM Technical Working Group and of the on Environment Statistics and the SDGs. And we get a lot of technical assistance and training. It could be either national, regional, from CARICOM and ICLAC, and international, UNSD, UNFCCC, FAO, etc., on climate change and disaster workshops and meetings. And the publication, the environmental statistics publication is published biannually, and it's on the GBS website and also on the UNSD website. But you also have challenges. And since March 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic has been one of our biggest challenges. Another challenge we have is that we rely a lot on administrative data. And this can result in lower data quality or even no data for some years due to staff turnover. The statistical capacity at the government needs to be enhanced and increased through more training, especially in the metadata, to better understand the climate change and SDG indicators, and to be able to calculate the indicators themselves. Because when we ask them, do you have data for certain indicators? If they don't understand it, the first thing they're going to say is, no, we don't have it. So not only training needs to be provided to the NSO, but also to the government focal points. Data collection is very time consuming. The stakeholders need to be reminded constantly via email, phone, and even through personal visits. And that's got even worse in the COVID-19 pandemic. This is an issue because at the GBS, there's only one person working on environment statistics and climate change statistics. So maybe it's not an issue for other countries, but for Suriname, this is extra work. Some national data is not processed in the required format we need. It's not disaggregated or it's out of date. For instance, there's no data on gender and district. So we need to try to collect more data with more disaggregation. And due to lack of financial and human resources, specialized surveys cannot be conducted. And what's the way forward? In December 22, we will launch our 10th environment statistics publication and try to collect more climate change statistics, indicators, and also more SDG indicators. This year, we will also launch Suriname's first climate change statistics report using the global set of climate change statistics and indicator as the underlying statistical framework. This framework really will help with this report. GBS, like I mentioned, we will report on SDG 13 for the VNR, together with other goals for 8 and 17 that will be submitted in May 2022. We will keep participating in national, regional, and international trainings that also contribute to the EGS and the implementation of the global set. And for the next population and housing census that was planned for this year but might be happening next year due to COVID, some climate change related questions will be added. And there's also planned to be an agriculture census planned next year. This will also contain data for the SDGs and also some of the climate change information, especially the Apollo sector. And of course, we will keep elevating the good collaboration between GBS and the environment and climate change stakeholders. Thank you. That's my presentation. Yes.
Thank you so much, Anjali, for this really excellent presentation. And we really commend you. I mean, one person at the General Bureau of Statistics, and how much you're working and how hard you are, doing this. And the commitment from the General Bureau of Statistics is just fantastic. I mean, you're coming out soon, yes, with your first, you plan your first climate change report, you the questions. These are all new things, innovative, and very few countries have done it. So we highly commend you and your colleagues at GPS. If there's any immediate question, please go ahead. But I know we're a little bit falling behind. So if you wish, you could ask. Is there anything? Chat? No. Okay. Don't see anybody with a question, then maybe it'll come in the discussion if there's anything for Anjali from Suriname. Okay, then we could move to Mr. Sushil Sharma. He's one of the directors of the Central Bureau of Statistics of Nepal. Sushil, please go ahead, and please try to stick to 7 minutes because we would like to leave some time at the end as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rina. Please share my slides from there. Okay.
Marcus, are you doing it?
Marcus, please.
I'm sharing now, Sushil.
Not seeing what happened.
You don't see if I click
Not
through the
seeing.
slides?
Not seeing the slides.
Let me unshare and I'll share one more time. I'll reshare one more time, but it looked like it should work. Let me see. Okay, I'm resharing a second time. Can you see, Sushil?
No, what happened? I don't understand what happened.
I can see it.
So Ruth can see. So outside of UNSD also people can see. Maybe it's just not Sushil.
Surely what happened?
Sushil, can you open it on your end and then Marcus, just try your best to go through them, or Emil could do it because he's also more familiar with this presentation.
Sorry for stepping in, but for me, when I logged out and logged in, it helped. So I haven't seen in the beginning. So usually, if you just go out and come in, you might see. Okay. So for me, it helped. Okay, so you'll.
So
Yes.
Not see. Can you give me the permission to share from here or what? I don't understand. Oh. Not seeing the slides. I don't understand what's happening.
So Shirley, if you speak to the slides on your screen, I mean, I can share. I get the impression most people can see the slides as I share them. Like I can try to click through while you present on your side.
Okay, please give me the permission. Yes.
Sorry for stepping in again, but we can even switch our presentations, and I can start mine. And
I think so. Yeah. Pal, I'm sorry to suggest that. Pal, please go ahead. Mark, I don't know. You try to work out with Sushil maybe bilaterally. Such suggestion. Maybe Sushil, maybe log out and join the meeting again. I think Pal suggested that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I cannot share my screen.
Okay.
So I do not have the permission for sharing my presentation or whatever.
We can give you the permission, Paul.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah. Just hold on 1 second. Let me find you.
Or you can.
And then Marcus, maybe for Sushil, you just eventually, if it doesn't work, you just go through and just tell him which slide, right?
Okay, I have it.
Yeah.
Just a moment.
Great.
Okay, so Pal Bode is the head of multi-domain statistics department at the Hungarian Central Statistical Office and a longtime member of our expert group on environment statistics. So thank you, Pal, and please go ahead.
Thank you. Can you see my screen? And what about now? Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for the introduction. Anyway, so I try to be brief just to catch up and save some time for the questions at the end. Anyway, so we've been involved in this process from the beginning. So we started our cooperation and seeing or checking the pilot survey back in 2017, and then the second round in 2020. And also we've been contributed to the global consultation in 21. We also filled in the questionnaire and also providing some proxy indicators just to show what kind of indicators we have here in Hungary and what are those indicators that are available. We follows the work of other institutions as well, and also the domestic organizations who have some knowledge or indicators or whatever relation to the climate change statistics and indicators. So as UNSC's global sets, also we have seen and we've been also involved in the preparatory work of the UNEC's indicator set, and also Eurostat has just started their own renewal of the climate indicator sets, and for sure there are the different institutions and ministries that are dealing with such indicator systems, or at least they are having the data or the information. So what we have seen and what are the experiences? Even though we are dealing with climate change statistics and other statistics related to climate change, like environment statistics and SDGs and energy statistics are within the statistical office, but most of the indicators are coming from different institutions. So this area is something what we are, and even though we are in the middle somehow, that we can share our experiences and gather the information, but most of the information that has to be taken from other institutions. And even we have had 17 institutions we try to contact with, but then we have also realized that even within these institutions there are different departments who also have some knowledge or information for us, and sometimes they even don't know about themselves or from each other. Therefore, we have to contact them separately. And also, since this topic is quite spread, therefore we have to check within the office, within the statistical office, what kind of data or information are available in our databases or surveys. What we have seen during the pilot surveys and then in the global consultation, that when we are reaching different institutions and we will try to find out whether what kind of data do they have, it's really important to have metadata, to have a description or definition what kind of data we are looking for. Therefore, they are more on the way how to give us the information and how to see and find better what kind of data or information is available. What we have seen that these institutions are really keen to help us. The problem was sometimes that they do not have the data what we were looking for, or it was not relevant for us or for them. I just put some information gaps here in this slide. These are those gaps that we are really think that these are the things that are really important to have, even though they are not available already. But we are going to reach those institutions, those who might have some kind of information about it. I'm not reading out them up. I would say that roughly 20-25% of the indicators from the global stats are not available, and something like yeah, something like 10 to 15% that are not relevant to Hungary. For example, whatever about seas are not relevant for Hungary because we do not have a sea, we are a landlocked country. But what we have seen that whatever statistics that are obliged to by whatever legislation or just data needs from national or international organizations or just for our own uses are much more available than those indicators that are not covered by any obligations. What we are doing now and what are the plans. Even though we have quite a lot of information about the climate change and the climate change statistics and indicators, we do not have our national indicator set on climate change. We have just started to build up this indicator set. Of course, we have analyzed the internationally available indicator sets like the global sets or other sets. Those are the domestic ones. We also seen or analyzed the strategies and plans and policies within the country, and which covers quite a lot of different indicators and quite a lot of overlapping fields. And if you feel that the 140 something indicators in the global set is a high number, just let me share that we have collected about 400 indicators from these strategies, plans, and policies that are related to climate change. We have started our dialogue with the domestic stakeholder, which is one of the ministry, and we have had a meeting, an initial one, just a couple of weeks ago, and we have just started to negotiate them and try to exchange our views and try to set up a basis for the new indicators at the national one. And of course, we have had this 17 institutions we have already contacted with, and we try to seek new partners or players who have any information, and with the help of the ministry, we can find them. And we would like to have our indicator sets to be ready by the end of this year, and also we would like to make a publication of it. And also as we see the international indicator sets and the domestic needs and domestic indicators, we would try to harmonize these indicators. And yep. And what are the conclusions? Yeah, for the policymakers, for the researchers, and for the public, it is really important to have relevant and reliable and also timely data on climate change. This is what we see from here. As I have said, the data is available in different institutions and totally different fields of interest and totally different fields of institutions who are dealing with this kind of information that could be together up as a whole national set. So therefore, it's a key element to cooperation. So we have to reach out those institutions, and we have to try to negotiate them and try to get all the data that is available. And therefore, when we have the indicator sets, and we can discuss what kind of what indicators should be put in this indicator set and what should be left out, and we can conclude it as a national indicator set. And also, I would like to say that for the starting point, it is really important to have something, and I think that the global set is a really good starting point that can be used as a basis for the cooperation, for the starting the negotiation with the other institutions, and therefore we can just stick to these indicator sets and help to prepare our own indicator sets, national one. I think that was the last slide. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Pal, again, for really very comprehensive, very excellent presentation, but touching on the main points. And I think we appreciate, your linking global set with your national work and your plans, as well as, connecting with the EC set, because I think the concern, and I think, as I said before, it's really good to have, maybe one global set, but again, for regional, diversities, etc., or specificities, or more sophisticated indicators, there will be other sets, evolving, and I think we must recognize that, but try to ensure that there is complementarity and not, overlap in terms of a negative way. So I think this is really good, and I think from the global consultation we also found out that there are many other institutions that have sets of indicators, and that's natural. That's going to happen. I think there's no way around it. So thank you, Paul. Thank you for your kind words on saying that the global set is a useful starting point, and we're seeing in written statements too countries that they would like to be able to add their own or make it more specific to their country, and that's exactly what we are encouraging. So thank you. Okay, I think we are a little bit behind. Maybe we could switch now to Sushil. Sushil, can you please
try? Can I try one time?
Yes.
Can I try one time?
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Presentation.
Yeah.
Is it seeing?
Yes, put in presentation mode.
Okay, I put in the presentation mode.
Yeah, and
okay.
We're still seeing only the non-presentation mode.
Oh,
but we can see the first page. Yeah.
Okay. Can I go ahead?
It's not in presentation mode. Marcos or Xuan, do you have any suggestions?
Could you, Sushil, click on the next slides? Just let's see if it works. Yes, it does. I think he can just go on.
Yeah.
Oh, can I go?
Yeah, but yes, but please, don't go through the hidden slides, right? Just go to number 3 then, right?
Oh, so it means. Is it okay?
Yeah. Yes, it's okay, but you need to move to this slide 2 is a hidden slide, so please go to the 3rd one.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the distinguished participants. I am Sushil Sharma from Nepal and sharing the experiences of Nepal on the climate change and the environment statistics, what we have done in Nepal. So thank you, Rina, and all other colleagues from the statistics section of the UNSC for providing this opportunity to share what we have done in Nepal. And based in the climate change issues in the Nepal. Nepal contributes only around 0.027% to total global emissions, although it is one of the countries most vulnerable to the impact of the climate change.
Sushil,
Nepal submits its.
You need to move to slide 3, please. Can you try? You're in slide 2.
It is okay?
No.
I can try to share the slides.
Sushil, maybe could you stop sharing and maybe Xuan will try from our side, please?
Okay.
Go ahead, Xuan, please.
Sushil, can you see my slides?
Not seeing what happened today. So.
Oh, you're not seeing?
Yeah. Actually, what happened? I don't understand what.
Huh. Can anybody else see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see your screen.
Can you try,
I see.
Xuan,
Yeah.
to just say which slide you're talking about? So you say climate change issues in Nepal, and then Sushil, could you just try to follow from your side? I don't know what else to suggest.
Yeah, maybe you can try that. So sure, if you have your slides open, I'm on your second slide, which says climate change issues in Nepal.
In the yeah. Yeah, in the third slides I am.
Okay. So Nepal contributes only around 0.027%. This is what I'm reading now.
Okay. Okay, can I share?
No, Sushil, I think it's not seeming to work. Maybe my suggestion, it's 10 minutes, we have 10 minutes left. Maybe I would please like to ask Ruth Minja from Tanzania to make her presentation. And then we'll try one more time with Sushil because it's taking longer. I mean,
Okay.
yes, please. I'm sorry. We have to do this.
Okay.
Then we'll see if
Okay.
it works. Otherwise, we'll just share your presentation. Yeah. Ruth,
Okay.
can you? Are you ready?
Okay, Rena, let me try to share my
Yes.
screen also, see if it will work.
Yes, thank you.
Can you see?
Yes, just put in presentation mode and accept.
Yeah, can you see my presentation now?
Yes, but can you please put it in what do you call it, presentation mode?
Yeah, it is in presentation mode right now. Maybe the network is slow, but it is in more presentation mode.
Okay, try to move to the next slide and let's see what happens.
I'm under the content.
No.
Can you see the content? No.
No.
I think the
Overview climate change reporting in Tanzania.
No.
No.
I think the presentation
Okay, so
mode is
share
getting
it
trouble.
from your side. Share it from your side, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try to share it. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the presentation is not moving in the presentation mode, so
Maybe you try Xuan and then I think Ruth can pick up, just slide by slide and say a few words, Ruth. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, go to the next one, I suppose.
Yeah, go to the next one. Thank you so much, Rena and your team for organizing this important side event and also for inviting Tanzania to make a presentation on the experience gained during the global consultation about the climate change. So go to the next slide, please. Yes, I would like to say that the climate change is the key issue, the key agenda issue in the national development processes, and given its importance, it is vested under the Vice President office. And Tanzania has ratified and is implementing several international climate change related policies. Next, please. Yeah, the National Bureau of Statistics is mandated to coordinate production of official statistics within a country, and this includes also climate change statistics. And we have been working in very close with the Vice President's office, the institution responsible for reporting climate change related information at international level. Next. Yeah, we have been working very hard with the other national institutions working on environment and the climate change statistics. And for the first time, we were able to produce the National Environmental Statistics Report according to FDS in 2017. And we were able also to compile the National Climate Change Statistics Report in 2019. This was the first report compiled. And Tanzania has been working very close with the UNSC in development of the global set of climate change statistics as the current chair of the UNSC Expert Group on Environmental Statistics. Next, please. So the collaboration between the NEBS and the Vice President Office is very important with regards to supporting informed policies. For instance, the first report, the first National Environmental Statistics Report was very important informing development of the 2018 National Greenhouse Gas Inventory Report. We were able to provide required statistics like the energy statistics, agriculture statistics, and the waste statistics. Next, please. So those are just a few data sources which we used, but we have others like censuses, surveys, and administrative records. But we are also planning to conduct specialized surveys to inform the data gaps in required by the Vice President Office to report on climate change related information. For the first time, the country is going to integrate climate-related questions into the coming population and housing census. We are planning to conduct it in August this year, so it's an opportunity that we will integrate questions at community level and at household level to collect statistics about the climate change. Next, please. With regards to experience on the global set of climate change statistics, we participated fully during the development of the global set, and it was really very important and useful at the country level because it enhanced the collaboration between the National Bureau of Statistics and the reporting the Vice President Office, but also it was a multi-sectoral consultation. So it is strengthening collaboration and the partnership within the country. And this is the cornerstone for moving forward to improve the climate change report of 2019. Next, please. These are just key findings which we observed during the pilot survey. The main message here is the global set contains, most of them are relevant to the country level, as you can see, but we also assessed the data availability and the methodological soundness, where we identified, the next please, we identified the main challenge is the data gap. Next, please. The data gaps are the main challenge, but the framework was very relevant at the country level. But also we noted the limited knowledge with regards to methodology used to compile those indicators. So those are the key areas where we needed to invest more to ensure that we increase the data availability for monitoring climate change related policies. Next, please. Next, please. This is just repeating what I've just said. For the interest of time, I will continue that we are planning to establish climate change statistics committee, because currently we have the environment National Technical Working Group on Environmental Statistics, but we are planning to have independent climate change statistics committee to dive deep into the climate change related statistics to inform the policies. Next, please. To conclude, the National Bureau of Statistics will strengthen collaboration with the relevant institutions responsible for for reporting the climate change statistics, and we are advocating other countries also to do the same. And it is our aim that we're expecting, also looking forward to adoption of the global set by the 53rd session of Statistical Commission in 2022, which will support the reporting requirements of the countries under the enhanced transparency framework and the global stock take of the Paris Agreement. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Ruth. I'm sorry, I realized I did not introduce you properly. So Ruth Minja is the Director for Population Census and Social Statistics Directorate at the National Bureau of Statistics in Tanzania. She's also the current chair of the expert group on environment statistics that has been collaborating with us to develop the global set. So thank you, Ruth, for your excellent presentation and highlighting all your important work. And we also know that I think after Jamaica, you're the second national statistical office in the world that we know about for sure that has published in a climate change statistics report from an NSO. There are some others that we found out about through the global consultation, and you know, this is really a really important trend, I think, that you're all setting here, and also for mentioning that you're planning to include questions in the census. Anybody, you know, working on census knows that this is very, very costly exercise, and to get questions on climate change is a remarkable achievement. So thank you, Ruth. I think we're close to 10. I mean, we're close to the end of the time. Sushil, would you mind if we don't do the presentation? I think we should allow a bit of time to show the questions that we were already asked in the, you know, before the meeting, and try to answer those. Sushil, is that okay? And then we will put your presentation online and people will be able to view it. Sushil, is that acceptable?
Oh, so sorry, Rina. What happened today? What happened? I don't understand. Why it not is sharing? I think internet problem or what?
Okay. Okay.
So what? Please share the presentation to all these, and if any questions or any comments, what I have to say.
Yeah. Well, then you can respond bilaterally. But I think, you know, Sushil has presented before, but I think one really important thing here, you know, and you're welcome to look at his presentation online, is the climate change impact survey that they conducted. Again, National Statistical Office, you know, conducting a survey of climate change.
Can I say few lines related to my presentation?
Yes, sure. Just
can I say?
Yeah, 2 minutes, please. Yes.
Quick, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So in Nepal, we conducted the National Climate Change Impact Survey in 2016-17, and many indicators we developed, and for in the global consultations also we shared that indicator. And the recent activities is that with that global consultation, we developed the draft climate change indicator related to the Nepal specific climate change indicator. We have developed the draft, the set of the indicator we developed in Nepal. Similarly, for the climate change, we are also planning to conduct the second round survey of this National Climate Change Impact Survey. The second round survey we are planning to conduct. Similarly, for this, we conducted the national population census. Just is conducted, and now we are working on the national agriculture census also. Some of the climate change related informations we are collecting from the census also. So we are working on this global set, and we are trying to produce the climate change Nepal specific indicator with this global set. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sushil, for respecting the time. I mean, we really wanted to hear your full presentation, but I understand the technical side. So thank you for at least saying a few words. I think, yeah, we reached the end of the time. I know some people are still here. I've asked one if Emil had to leave because he's joining a meeting with ECLEC, with an international workshop in Ecuador. So, Xuan, can you please put up the last slide?
Yes, yes, I'll put it up.
And I will try to give quick responses to what we got so far. And if there's still people who would like to ask anything, we can try for a few minutes. Okay, so these are the questions we received through the registration for this meeting. So we just would like to answer a few of them. And Vlad, just to prepare you, I think the last one, we would like you to say a couple of words, okay? So, so for the first one, I mean, it's just a moment. Yeah, for the mobility, just give me 1 second, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm sorry, my documents are messed up here. Okay, so for the how does the global set measure impact of climate change on mobility? We understood it to mean about transport. We're not 100% sure that what was meant, but we do have some indicators from the Sendai framework and additional tier 3 indicators in a topic called impact of climate change on transport. The second question is from Mali, and they were asking about what kind of support is being given to produce these indicators, and we already talked about that in the part I presented on slide 30 and 32 with regard to capacity development and training materials and the strategy. The third question is from Germany, or was from Germany. How do you relate climate change data to the SDG data, especially considering goal 13. So, I mean, basically goal 13 indicates, SDG goal 13 indicators are all included in the global set and fully referenced. But as in, for the SDGs, countries are expected to compile national data and report it to the various custodian agencies. For the global set, at least for now, we do not have any plans to collect data at an international level. So it's up to countries to use the global set and adapt it as necessary regionally or nationally, and add or subtract indicators for their own purposes in terms of supporting their own climate policy when reporting work and reporting to UNFCCC. The fourth question was from the Netherlands about how do we organize the harmonization coordination of the global set activities. So, I mean, a quick response would be that, we do plan to regularly assess the global set via, as we explained, para 36 in the Commission report, via the expert group. We could consider also having subgroups of this expert group in time, and this expert group consists of countries and agencies. And we will continue to look at this. We hope to do a full review in 3 to 5 years time. But of course, during this time, thematic improvements will be organized with specialized institutions and potential subgroups, as I said. And we have been giving more importance to climate change in the expert group. So we believe that this can be a good mechanism because the members of the expert group are represented by all regions. So we already have, all the different types of countries and situations like small island developing states, countries that focus more on mitigation, on adaptation, or other themes like that. But it's a long-term process, and we really depend on countries to contribute and regional institutions to contribute. But I think that in each region they may adapt this, and I think we have to adapt the global set and or in the case of ECE, continue using the set, but also look at possible revisions of the ECE set due to the dynamic nature, I think, of climate change reporting. The next question is the implications on national statistical systems and what support mechanisms are there. Again, I think this came from UNICEF, and we did talk about the capacity development and training slides, and we, through the global consultation, learned a lot about what other agencies are doing. So we do plan to consult with all these different supporting agencies and try to see how we can, work together to minimize duplication. And I know, for example, in the ECLAC region, I think our colleague Alda Diaz mentioned that they're already using the global set in several of their national activities and regional activities in climate change and disaster statistics. So already we have established good collaboration there and over this last year during the pandemic. The last question that we received in advance was about the role of the global set in streamlining global reporting, and that maybe for that we came from Denmark. Maybe Vlad, could you please speak to that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rina. Indeed, like I don't think that I can stress more than I did in my presentation about the idea of the amount of information and data that will be needed from all the countries in the world under the Paris Agreement, and the fact that any support that is given to especially developing countries in terms of helping them manage their internal data, collect it and report it back to UNFCCC will be necessary and really useful for this country. So this is part of this support, like using the global set will give comparable data between countries, will help countries focus on several indicators that they think that they are proper and representative for the respective countries. And again, this overall will be supporting the climate reporting process. Thank you.
Thank you, Vlad. Thank you. And I think for those familiar with the SDG process, we must appreciate that took time. There were several tier 3 indicators that were not perfectly, reiterated or not well defined. And over time, reviews, these were all elevated to tier 1 and tier 2 indicators. And I think that's the way we would like to look at this global set, that is not fixed in stone, but it is an evolving process, but we have to start somewhere. And I think it's good to put a starting point and then, of course, continue to develop and improve over time. So I think we're really learning from and sort of piggybacking on the SDG indicator experience as well as the tiering system. So we don't really have a list of priority indicators per se, but through the tiering, countries can make their own priorities. I think we're giving some guidance in that sense. But again, they are region specific, country specific. So we don't want to set the stage that these are the 10 priority indicators you have to, compile. I know we're over time. If there's anyone else who would like to ask additional questions that you couldn't ask before, or based on these few questions that we've raised, or anything else, we can spend about 5 more minutes if you like. No. Okay. I don't see any hands. Please let us know if you'd like to take the floor. Okay. Arthur, you want to say a few words, or you just... Arthur, please go ahead if you like. Thank you.
No, I didn't want to say something, but
Sorry.
I said something in the chat. I think I want to appreciate to say that I really appreciate all the presentations and also your answer on my question, the fourth one on the slide. We just have to wait if it is adopted next week. I think it will. but it is really important to do the implementation in some kind of coordinated or harmonized way. And it's a big puzzle, and I really appreciated that you were saying it's a long-term exercise for us, but it's a really interesting and important exercise. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Arthur, and thank you for your, very supportive comment. Arthur Denneman is from the Central Bureau of Statistics of the Netherlands. He's also the chair of the steering group of the CES, Conference of European Statistician Steering Group on Climate Change Related Statistics. They've just set up a task force also last week to look at the role of NSOs in climate reporting. So there's a lot of really excellent work going on in that region. And I really feel we're part of that group, they're part of ours, so we can piggyback on each other and really move forward together. I think that's what's important. We learn from each other, from some developed countries who have more experience. But then we have, as a global level, we have to make sure we're taking into account all countries. So I think it's working well, and I think we must have, the patience to persevere. So thank you, Arthur. The UK's. Okay. Thank you to Maya Glickman. Okay, for information. All right. Anyone else? Okay, I think we could close off now. So thank you so much to all colleagues who have participated, presented, and participated in the discussion, asked questions. You're welcome to have a look at some of the written statements. They're online. Who have already many countries, I'm not sure if it's 30 by now, or we're losing track. There's every day, there's more and more posting statements online and agencies, so you're welcome to have a look at them. And the agenda item will be on Tuesday, the 1st of March at 4 to 4:30 p.m. New York time. So I know for some people it might be very late in the night, but you're welcome to join. I think on web TV will be the way to do it. So thank you so much to everyone. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Vlad.
Goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hi, Giovanna.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Hi, Anna.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Gosha, if you're still there from EC. Sorry, I didn't have a chance to give you the floor, but I think Arthur, on behalf of your region, has spoken. It's good.